All right. Hi, Jenny.
Hi.
I'm so happy Jenny's here today, guys. So Jenny, I'm going to preface, she's my old babysitter.
Yeah.
Okay. Which, look at her. What? No, I am not older than her. She babysat me. We're in Beeville, where we grew up, but you're a friend, right?
Yeah.
You started as a babysitter, but
yeah.
became a friend.
Yeah.
So I wanted to have you on today because your story is incredible and it's helping people. And the whole point of this pod is to try to help people.
Absolutely.
Because trauma that I've gone through, I've seen multiple doctors in multiple different cities and things. And it's like, I can't ever really find the help I'm looking for. And it's not necessarily help. I think it's just more relatability.
Oh, absolutely.
I just want to find somebody that can relate to what's happening to me.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I get it.
So you babysat me back in the day.
I did. It's before I even had my driver's license, I remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And then you had, what was that car?
Oh, it was the 91 white Pontiac Grand
Yes.
Am.
Yes. I knew it was white. And I mean, I still have memories of like driving around with you
absolutely.
in it.
You were like my little sister, not like I was babysitting. It was like go pick you up and we hung out all summer long. That's what we did.
It was so fun though.
Yeah.
And I idolized you. I just like, I thought, I know, but I mean, you're so gorgeous, but like the inside matches the outside.
Well, thank you.
It's true.
Thank you.
And you were always such a good person to have in my life, because I lived in Beeville with my birth mother and her husband. Mm-hmm. And, navigating those waters was hard because I could never play sports. I could never do things like that because on the weekends I'd have to fly to Dallas to be with my dad, right? So it was like, I kind of always had a hard time finding my place in Beeville because we moved there from Uvalde, obviously not knowing anyone, and it's hard.
And it's hard in a small town like that because
it's hard.
You know how small towns are. It gets cliquish. It gets where they're not going to want to be welcoming and open up as easy, especially as kids, because they watch what the parents do.
Right. And one thing that I struggled with quite a bit moving there, it's a predominant Hispanic community. And, I was like the quote, rich white girl, which was not.
Yeah, no, but that's what it was perceived as.
Right. We are not rich. I am not rich. But in a town like that, it kind of looked like we were, I guess, just because the people that mainly work there work at the prison, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's the second largest prison in Texas. So I had just tons of obstacles living in Beeville, just always being judged. And so did you. I mean, you're a white girl too.
Yeah.
Those Hispanic girls were mean as shit to us. Like I was bullied. Oh my God. I could do a pod for about 5 hours about girls that bullied me. I mean, it was just crazy, but you always felt comfortable to me. You kind of always felt like home, right? Like to me, home isn't a place, it's a feeling. And you always felt like home to me. You were like a big sister that I never had. I was an only child and you understood me and you never judged me. And it was just, your parents just did such a good job with y'all. Like your siblings are just as great. I don't know your little sister that much.
No, but she's awesome. I mean, I'm 14 years older than her.
Yeah, because we were all kind of shocked.
Yeah, so it was like, she was like another, like, I'm like a second mom to her more so.
Right.
So she had better act like we needed her to. Yeah. So, no, I'm just kidding. But my brother, I'm 3 years older than, and I mean, we're thick as thieves. So.
Love your brother.
Yeah.
Love your brother. I hung out with him a ton too.
Yeah.
So you were my babysitter and then you got pregnant.
Yep. I was 17, a senior in high school and got pregnant.
And I remember how much the town like turned against you and your family.
Yeah.
And I was heartbroken because I didn't understand why
I couldn't talk to you anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were out of my life.
Yeah.
And at the time, the people that were raising me made it that way.
Yeah.
And we went to church together.
Yeah.
And I remember you just kind of stopped coming over. I didn't think I was going to get emotional, but you just stopped coming over and I didn't understand why.
Yeah.
And I thought it was something I did,
Yeah.
And now that we're adults and now that we know.
I need you to know it was never anything that you did. This tore me up back then. If there's one regret that I have, I shouldn't have listened to any of the adults at that point, and I should have barreled through and come and given you a hug and just explained. But being 17 and pregnant, and when I was kicked out of youth group and church members turned their backs on me, I was alone. And the one morning that I did see you and was heading your way, I was stopped and told that I was not allowed to talk to you. And it broke my heart because I could see the heartbreak that you were going through, and there was nothing I could do because it was the adults controlling the scenario, and I shouldn't have let that happen. That's one of my biggest regrets.
But also, you didn't know any better either. You were just doing what you were told, and we were raised to respect our elders and listen to what they said. But I mean, it was so heartbreaking. And like looking back, my God, like all of these people that were judging you, we all went to church with them.
Oh, yeah.
The number one place you're supposed to feel safe and welcomed and wanted and not judged. And
that's what I tell everybody. So I wrote a book a couple of years ago that tells this whole story, because along with the teenage pregnancy and the rejection from school and peers, from going homecoming queen and Miss Western week to counting 5 friends that stayed beside me and didn't make fun of me, everybody else snickering in the hallways. It was then going to church that Sunday morning that word got out that I was pregnant, and being told that I was no longer allowed in youth, and had to go to the single moms class where the person that was closest in age to me was 11 years older than me and was a single mom. And it was in a different building than any of the youth and the elementary kids. Like I wasn't even in the same building anymore. And it's just going through that devastation. And my book is a tell-all on all this. And nobody knew the mental abuse and the domestic violence I was going through on top of all this. And so navigating that, it's just, as an adult now with children, it's heartbreaking to me to know that, I mean, he was the only person I could rely on. There wasn't a person, there wasn't a soul. Like, people failed me.
I think a lot of things failed you.
Yeah.
It's very hard. Just all of it. You and I haven't talked about this before, but I mean, that was like my first kind of like real heartbreak, and it was not it was out of your hands, obviously out of my hands. But, the fact that these Christian adults could devastate 2 people, you and I, like that, just because, I mean, that's just the most unchristian thing I think I've about ever heard.
Yeah.
And, when you have like rejection from somebody that like was the only person that understood me, I mean, it was very shaking for me. Like it was really hard on me. And I'm glad now that we're talking about it, now that I'm older. And I got pregnant out of marriage, but I mean, I was 27, but even then that same church and those same people looked at me away when I would go into the church pregnant and by myself or with my daughter's dad. And I'm like, wow, we're still doing this shit?
Oh yeah, exactly.
We're still doing this shit this many years later?
Yeah.
Like, and I haven't walked into that church, and I mean, I won't ever go back to it. I mean, I have literally no reason to. I don't ever go back to Beeville and have no reason to. And I guess your parents are still there.
My parents are still there. I go back. I make it down maybe a couple times a year, but most of the time they come
just
up,
come to you,
or
right?
we go up to Dallas where my brother is, and all hang out there, or my sister's over in Fulshire. So we do that and meet up because it's a way for them to get out of Beeville too.
For sure. Have they ever thought about leaving?
Yes. But, my dad's the fire chief there. So,
yes.
And that
yes.
My mom always says that's his first love. So,
I feel that.
And I mean, he serves people, and that's how I was raised. We're a family of first responders, and that's his heart and his passion. And that's where I learned to serve others, was because of my parents.
No, you have great parents, and I know you're a great parent. And so now, that little baby you were pregnant with,
she's 26. and she's pregnant with her first baby.
Wild.
My first baby's having her first baby.
Wild. When
Yeah.
I saw the post on Facebook, I was like, God, I'm getting old.
Yeah, tell me about it.
She's married and
Yeah.
pregnant. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel, and your son's at A&M?
He's 20, and he's technically starts his junior year, but he got his senior ring after 3 semesters at A&M. So he's getting his master's in aerospace engineering, and he's in the honors engineering school there, and
Damn girl.
living his best life. He's loving it.
Damn girl. So for somebody that everybody thought was a piece of shit, laughing at him now, you raised some really good kids, and they're beautiful.
I tell everybody they're the best parts of me. I'm an asshole. I'm prickly, and it takes people sometimes rubbing against me a while to be like, oh, okay, she's just sarcastic and dry, but yeah, she's pretty cool. It takes a little bit to get to know me, and I tell everybody that's because my kids got every ounce of the best of me.
That's so beautiful. I did not expect to cry this much today on this pod. So after, thank you. So after you, it's blurry to me because you left.
Yeah, because I left.
You left.
Yeah.
So after you left, that's when you started your jewelry line.
Yeah. So I actually started, so what you don't know, I was living at home with my parents when I was pregnant, graduated. I fought the school for the last 4 months that I was there because they wanted me to go to the alternative school and said it was safer. And I said, oh, with all the gang members and the drugs, and that's why they got kicked out of our high school. You want me to go to the alternative school to finish up?
Because I'm pregnant?
Because I was pregnant. And so I fought the school board and I said, I'm an honor student. There's nothing you can do. I do well in classes. Until you have reason to kick me out, you can't kick me out. But they didn't want me walking the halls pregnant as a black eye to their name, I'm sure. But I fought them and I stayed in school. And then 3 days before graduation, a new principal had come in because our principal was retiring. And they didn't want me walking the stage. They told me I could sit in the stands. I'd still get my diploma, but I could sit in the stands. I said, no. Well, and they said, well, Jenny, I mean, it's out on the field. It's at the football field. You've got to walk up the steps. We just don't want you. And I was 8 months pregnant at this point. So
I'm not disabled.
Like,
I'm just
and
pregnant.
I'm now 18. I'm 8 months pregnant and you don't want me walking across the stage. And I said, well, I earned that and graduating with honors. And so I'm going to come and sit in there with my friends and walk across the stage. And out of spite, I wore 3-inch platform shoes.
I freaking love it.
So I graduated. The parts that people don't know was through all of that, I was dealing with some domestic violence with the biological father. At one point when I wouldn't get an abortion, he beat me in my stomach and tried to make me abort that way. And God laid his protecting hand on her because I didn't have a bruise on my stomach at all. I was fine. Hallie was fine. She was born 9 days early, so went full term with her. And then the last straw, she was 2.5 months old, and he put a knife through my throat, and he sexually assaulted me, and then tried to kill me. And I tell people I fought him like a boxing match, like I fought him like a man. I made his nose bloody, and I got out, and I grabbed my daughter, and we never looked back. And he threatened and told me that he was going to kill me and bury me where nobody could find me. And I said, like hell you are. And that's when I knew that God gave me the strength, and I gave everything I could and physically fought him, and did not turn around, and knew that I needed to not be the quiet mouse anymore. It was time to stand up, and start standing up for myself and never take that from anybody again. And that's what made me maybe the first part of being a little prickly. But it was self-preservation and what am I going to do to survive and take care of this child?
I mean, yeah, because you can't, no matter what, you cannot let your child see that happen.
No.
Because if a child sees that as the norm, then they're going to settle for that norm.
And especially a baby girl. Like if a boy sees it, they're going to look at that and be like, oh, I can just beat up on a woman. Absolutely not. If a girl does, they think they can just take it. Absolutely not.
I have been in abusive relationships before, and it is so easy for people to say, why didn't you just get out?
Oh, it's very easy.
And I'm like, until you're in it, and especially when the law gets involved and courts get involved, I mean, it's a lot.
And small towns do not help with the politics of how things work when it comes to anything.
No, because it's somebody's cousin and so it's like they overlook. I mean, when I think back of like the corruption of the attorneys and police and stuff of the town that we grew up in.
Yeah.
You know, cops stealing drugs.
Oh, yeah.
Confiscating them from somebody just to turn around and deal them. You know, like we saw all of that. I don't know why anybody, like everybody just turns another eye when it comes to all of it. But huge kudos to you recognizing and realizing like this does not have to be my life and I'm out and I'm putting a stop to it.
I'll tell you the changing point. I did not tell my parents the night that it happened. That's one thing that I would urge anybody that goes through anything is tell someone. It doesn't have to be your parent. It doesn't have to be your best friend. Tell someone. I confided I went to work the next day and I had some knife marks on my arm that were, nothing that needed stitches, but I had a bandage over them. And I didn't realize in the night of fighting him that he had bit me, but like bit me to the point where it left every single tooth mark on me and it was black and blue. And I didn't realize that. And I was at work and I worked at the Backyard Grill there in town.
Love the Backyard Grill.
And so we closed in the middle of the day. It was like a split shift. And so I was mopping and it was, September. So it was hot, South Texas. So I pull my sleeves up and I remember the general manager coming over and grabbing my arm. And I turned around and almost clocked him and a single tear went down my face. And he said, "Whoa, what's going on?" I was just trying to see what's on your arm. And I didn't realize until I looked that it was every single tooth mark was on my arm. And I broke down and I told him what happened. And I said, "Promise you won't tell anybody." Well, thank God he didn't listen to me because he immediately called my parents and got them involved. My dad called the one sheriff investigator that he trusted that met me at the hospital. And that's how that all started and I was so mad. I was so mad at him for calling my parents. And here they are having to deal with their black sheep child again, going through something. But it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And that's the one thing now I say is say something. See something, say something. Always. If something's happening, say something.
Always, because you can end up in a very, very bad spot. There was an instance when I was pregnant. And I was not in the state. I was not with my family. And the other family witnessed what happened to me. And like no one did anything. And then I came home and of course told my family. And they're just like, "Oh, well, just get over it. You're pregnant. Like get over it." And like,
this should not be the norm.
And it was like, it was, and you're in such a tough position with something like that because you're like, "Well, I'm pregnant. I need to try to make this work." And no.
Well, and it's amazing to me because in that situation here I think, I've got the sheriff that's on my side. I've got, of course, my parents being supportive. We go to the hospital and they do, like I said, he sexually assaulted me. They do the full rape kit. They get pictures of all the bruises. And the head nurse that night closed the curtain and was talking to the nurse here. Now, remember, I have been there an hour. They have taken pictures of me from head to toe because I have bruises and cuts and different things from an actual physical fight. So not only was I sexually assaulted, I was actually had physical bruises and fight. And she closed the curtain and she told the nurse, "I think she's doing it for attention."
Oh my God.
And to feel victimized a second time for the same incident. And in my head, I was just like, and me, I'm not a crier. Like I'm not one. I'm very tomboy, very tough, and like I say, prickly. And I wasn't crying hysterically when I went to the hospital, and that didn't suffice to her to make it real.
Well, because a lot of people think in their mind with situations like this, just because you're stoic and strong, they think that it's a lie.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, just because I'm not having the reaction you think I should have doesn't mean that this is a lie.
Yeah. And I made sure to put that in my book to talk about that because the places that you're supposed to feel safe and comfort.
You don't feel safe.
You don't. Like I didn't, at that moment, at being 18 years old, I wanted to get up and walk out and throw my hands up because it was, again, well, who's going to believe me? Here we go again. Nobody's on my side again. What am I going to do here? They're not going to believe this 18-year-old single mom.
I do feel like one of the biggest things in my life that I've struggled with is feeling like somebody doesn't have my back.
Yeah.
And when I think back to why I feel that way and where it started, it started at home. And then it started with things like you. How was I not supposed to?
You were like 12 at the time.
Yeah, and I'm like, she doesn't like me anymore. She doesn't have my back in terrible relationships. Well, he doesn't like me. He doesn't have my back. And it's like even I feel like somebody, it might only be one person, but you just have to have one person to have your back and just like believe you. That's and believe in you.
Yeah.
And I'm in a legal thing right now. And the irony is I have cut out a lot of people in my life during the process of this and added some others. And I'm going to tell you what, the ones that are in my life right now have stepped up more than like I just
Absolutely.
ever. Well, and then it just made me realize, I'm like, damn, it took me, I turned 38 this year, but it's like in 37, 38 years, like I never was surrounding myself with people that like believed in me and had my back or believed me what I was saying. And I feel like that makes a really big difference in your life. You have to be around the right people. Like you just have to, because if you're around people that are shitty or fair weather friends or whatever, they're never going to have your back, and you're never going to feel like they do. And don't get me wrong, there are some people in my life still I'm like, I don't know necessarily if you really care that much about me or you're just being nosy.
Yeah.
But for the majority of the part, it's like, no, if you don't have my back, you're out of my life.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Family or not, you're gone.
Yeah.
And I think people have a hard time swallowing that. And it's like, well, if you had my back, you would still be in my life. It's kind of simple.
I know I had somebody tell me one time for cutting people out that was very cold-hearted of me. And I said, oh, no, I don't hold anything against them. I'm letting them go for myself.
Yeah, protecting my peace.
Protect my peace. But I don't wish them ill. I don't wish them bad. I'm just completely cutting this so that I can survive and I can get through. And I had somebody I came out with my book a couple of years ago, so I'm turning 45 this year. And somebody said, well, this happened when you were 17 and 18. And I said, it took me a long time. What made me realize that I had to forgive myself. And people don't get there very quickly. It's one thing to say, oh, I forgave him, I forgave her, and I've let that go. But to actually forgive yourself and turn it, do you know how long I struggled with learning that it's okay to forgive myself? And when I get up and give my talks and things now, I tell people, you've got to learn to do that first, because you have to remember our Creator, God himself, he says to come to him and ask for forgiveness. It's like that. So how come I held on to it for 10 or 12 years? How come I couldn't forgive myself when he already forgave me for that exact thing and let it go? So once you can get through that, and then everybody's like, well, okay, well, how come the book? And I said, because if me healing out loud saves one person's life, that's all that matters. So I heal out loud so others don't have to suffer in silence. And that's what it's about, is finding somebody that is, I'm not ashamed. I'm not afraid of anything. People still bring up my past or bring up something, and I'm like, go on. I've already put it in the book. What are you going to bring up that nobody knows already?
Yeah, what are you going to say that I have not already talked about myself?
Yeah.
And I do feel like, too, sometimes when you get in front of your own story, that helps. There's quite a few things in my personal life that I have not talked about on the pod. I will eventually one day when I'm ready. But I feel like when you're the owner of your own story, then other people don't get to tell it.
No, not at all.
Like-
I referenced the movie 8 Mile, and I know a lot of people of my generation, saw it when it came out. And at the end, what was the winningest thing he ever did was say everything he did wrong, because then nobody could use it against him.
That's right.
And when you can own your story and you have control and you're navigating it, there's nobody that can bring you down. There's not something that somebody can tell me, oh, well, you did this, this, and this. I'm like, yeah, I know. Everybody else knows that too, because you know why? Because I already told them.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So I make mistakes. So I'm human. Thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me know what I already know.
Yeah.
Well, because I've always been the black sheep, right?
Oh, yeah, me too.
Always. No matter what I did, Beeville is there's not a lot of white people there really, but the ones that are just like racist as shit, because I was known as like the girl who just only dated Mexicans. Oh, she dates Mexicans. Yeah, no shit. He's right here with me.
Yeah.
Like because a lot of Beeville people moved here. They live in like Alamo Heights, and I started dating a guy years ago, and I'm not going to say who, but a guy from Beeville who doesn't live there anymore. I think his parents, I think they're probably dead now, but his parents did still live. Anyway, he called up the guy that I was seeing and was like, hey, you better watch it with her. Like, she just dates Mexicans. And the guy I was seeing was like, and? Like, Beeville's the most wild, like, just the shit that people would say about me. And oh my God. And I'm like, okay. And now I've gotten to the point where I'm like, I don't care about it. It used to eat me alive.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you're raised in a small town, gossip is what everybody thrives off of, right? And I used to care so much about what everybody thought. And that had a lot to do with who was raising me, because they only care about what other people think. They don't actually try to be good people. They just pretend to be good people when they need to be. And just the way once I finally got out of that, quote, small town mentality, that freed me a lot in itself.
I will say the one thing that my parents and grandparents, and you know them very well,
best people,
instilled in me was, we don't care what other people think. If we're serving God and we know we're God's child, then what does it matter what somebody else thinks about us?
Well, I look back at when you were pregnant. I mean, what the city of Beeville did to you was just such trash. You were homecoming queen and Miss Western Week and all that. They took your crowns away. Mm-hmm. Like, just what the city did to you. Like, it's so vile. Could you imagine that happening in today's world? What an uproar that would be.
Oh, yeah.
But the way that it was like okay to do that, and y'all all wanted to act like y'all weren't having sex too. That, oh my God, that one killed me. That one was the one that was like, once I finally got older and realized, because I wasn't allowed to talk to you. You weren't, you were told not to talk to me. And then you left. And you know what? That's probably the best thing you could have ever done, was just to leave.
I wasn't raising my children there.
No.
My roots in South Texas, I am forever grateful. It was a different place for me growing up there versus you.
It was different.
It was a Navy-based town when I was growing up.
And it wasn't when I was there.
It wasn't when you were there, because by the time I got to high school, they had closed the base.
Yes.
And they were building the prison, but it hadn't opened yet. And that was toward like my end of high school career. And so the whole dynamic of the town, like growing up there, it was the most amazing place when I was a kid. Like the 80s, that was the best place. I wanted to stay there. I never wanted to leave. And then when the base closed and the dynamic of the town changed, and yes, there's always been drugs. There's drugs everywhere, but it came full force more so. And that was, my kids went to Bernie High School, and here in the last few years, there's officers on campus. We know what the world we're living in is like. They're SROs on all the campuses now. And everybody's like, oh, I'm so grateful for that. I said, y'all, the high school I went to, we had 6 sheriffs on campus every day in their full sheriff outfit. And I graduated in the 90s. So this is kind of where I grew up.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that it's not a new thing. Like, this is just something I dealt with and grew up with. But when I got pregnant with Hallie, the one thing I wanted to do, and I knew, was she's not going to high school in this town. I'm not raising her. I'm getting out. This is not where I will raise children.
No. And it's not, and it changed obviously it was different from when you grew up. And I wasn't there. I don't know. I think I was 4 or 5 when we moved there, and then I left at 18.
Yeah.
So, and now I've been down there probably twice in the last 2 to 3 years. Like, I just don't go. But even like the last time I went, I was like, dude, this is not even close to the same place that I grew up in.
No.
Like, just not
at all.
nowhere near, like, which is sad because there were good aspects about small town, right?
Yeah.
I do feel like I wouldn't be who I am today without, being like bullied to shit and talked to about so much. I don't think I'd have such tough skin that I have now.
Oh, yeah.
So I got to give some props to it. But at the same time, I'm like, still lots of trauma from that town. So I'm like, oh, good with that.
Yeah.
So when you left, you knew you weren't going to raise your kids there. What took you to Bernie? Was it your ex-husband?
Well, yes and no. San Antonio is where he grew up, in Hill Country Village area, right down the road here. And I knew I wanted to be close to San Antonio, the city life, just have, something that's not just small town, but I wanted to raise kids in a small town. And actually we were looking in New Braunfels and fell in love with New Braunfels. It was still small at the time. This was 25 years ago. But big. And so I was like, oh, I really do like New Braunfels. I remember growing up and going to Schlitterbahn. Like I was familiar with New Braunfels. Austin's right down the road. San Antonio's right down the road. What a perfect location. And my ex-husband and I were driving down the road and we turned and we went down 46.
46, yeah.
And I was like, I don't think I've ever been down 46 before. He goes, I don't know that I've gone all the way either. Let's just drive and see where it takes us. And we pull into Bernie and the first thing we see is the little dam, Cibolo Creek, and the little park on the left. And then on the right, all the shopping and and I was like, yep, this is it. This is where I want to be. And the next year, that's where it was like 6 months later, we ended up moving to Bernie.
Well, Bernie is like great.
It is. It has changed a lot. I have been there, I guess 24 years now. And it's definitely not the town. It's small town feel, but it's a lot bigger. And that's happened all in the last 5 years, 5 to 8.
Because I went there a few weeks ago. Just wanted to get out of town, but I didn't really want to go far. You know, sometimes you just want to
just want to day trip.
Well, and I work from home. Okay. So sometimes I just need to get out of the house.
Oh, absolutely. I do the same thing. So I get it.
Yeah. So it's like, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to Bernie for the weekend. Why not? And it was so fun. The vibe was so fun, but it was very populated.
Oh, absolutely.
Like there was just a lot.
There's a lot
going
of traffic.
on.
There's a lot going
just
on.
People.
It's great people. Like the town is great. Everything. I have no complaints other than it is a little overpopulated for what our roads can handle. Like you're actually sitting in traffic and you're like, literally, there's 4 lights in town. How are we sitting in traffic?
And I witnessed that just a few weeks ago, and I was like, the one thing that I did like though that was nice. I stayed at the what was the name of the hotel? The William.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Yeah. So no check-in counter. They just like text you a code.
Yeah.
Which I thought was like super cool. But what I loved is like I had my car parked and then I could just walk.
Oh yeah. Walk, shop, eat.
You can grab a beer and just walk in each store, walking around. Like it was such a fun vibe. Like I miss those vibes, those small town vibes.
Yeah.
But where I live in San Antonio, like it's still kind of a small town inside of a big town.
Yeah,
like I don't really have to go anywhere. Everything is like 0.08 to 1 mile away from my house.
Yeah.
Like
that's what's really cool about San Antonio. And I don't think people understand. And I tell people, you've got to remember like Austin, Houston, Dallas, those are oil, industry, technology. San Antonio is based on tourism still. So it's like an overgrown little town. And it's got little towns that make up the big town.
It is. I call it the biggest small town.
Absolutely.
Because it really is.
Absolutely. And I feel like you still find all the friendly people. Like I can come in and still at restaurants, everybody's like, oh, let me hold the door for you. Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Sometimes I don't feel that. And when I go to Houston or Dallas.
No, it's I lived in Houston, 8 years, and very different vibe. San Antonio is just its own vibe.
Oh, totally.
It's just like, it's its own entity. But I do like it. I moved here due to my pregnancy. This wasn't like really where I wanted to be, but I was in Houston and, now looking, I wouldn't want to raise I only have one child, but I wouldn't want to raise her in Houston. It's just not. No, it just wasn't, and I wouldn't want to move to like the burbs of. 'Cause I love Sugarland and the Woodlands and all that, but like no, the hurricanes that was just too much, and no family there. So I was just kind of like, no, this is not somewhere. And then now that I've been in San Antonio at this slower pace, I moved here in 14. Now I couldn't even fathom. Like I look back, I'm like, how did I live in Houston that long? Like I'm like
for as big as San Antonio is, it's still like that slow pace, easy living.
It is.
Like, it really is.
It is. Like this is not a fast paced city.
No,
like
not at all. Nobody get in a hurry to go anywhere.
No one does. Don't worry.
Don't worry.
They're sitting on the highway. It's been raining for the past few days, and I'm like, I had to go down to the quarry area, and I was like, I better leave my house like 45 minutes.
That's what I tell everybody that visits. They were like, it's just a little rain. I'm like, yeah, but this is San Antonio. Any change of not sunshine, just plan on an hour drive.
So slow. Everybody goes so slow. Yeah, but I was like freaked out too, driving out to Bernie when I went. Everything between here and there.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop anymore.
No, it doesn't. There is not a
car
definition
dealerships
between,
and there's just shit everywhere.
Restaurants and car dealerships and communities, and
it's wild.
They just touch now.
Are your taxes? This is me being like,
Bernie's outrageous.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, Bernie is probably. I don't know for a fact. I'm not in real estate.
Do you own a house there?
I do not.
Okay.
No. Used to, yes. Would not now.
Because I would imagine the taxes are gnarly out there.
It's going to have to do something. After COVID and when we had the influx of people moving from other states, fleeing their states and coming, Bernie was one of the number one hotspots, along with other cities in Texas. And prices went up, and they've just kind of leveled out. They never came back down.
Because the majority of the people, there were lots of food trucks, and so I was just talking to people because I'm interested. I love talking to people. I love hearing their stories. Because I want to know. I genuinely care about people's stories, and so. But a lot of them, oh yeah, we're from Minnesota. We moved here. Oh, we're from, and then one couple they were selling something because there was like a farmer's market going on when I was there, and they were like, we're going to have to move to Comfort because like we can't afford the taxes here anymore.
Yeah.
And I was like, where's Comfort? And they were like, oh, it's just up the road.
Yeah.
But I was like, wow, they retired in Bernie and now they can't afford it because of the taxes. So when they said that, I was like, oh, they must be like crazy high there.
Yeah, it's crazy high. Like I know that the city, county is working with people and they are bringing things down. I have heard, but I don't know. I know rent is ridiculous. Like if you want to open anything retail, you're
on that main strip,
you're looking at $6,000 to $17,000 a month.
My God.
There's a restaurant, and I know the realtor very well, and they rented, and it's a restaurant, and it's $17,000 a month in rent for this restaurant. And I'm just like, can you imagine why they have to be the prices they are now? Like that's what people don't understand.
Girl,
about
that's
Bernie.
outrageous. Yeah. I thought you were about to say 6,000 or 7,000.
Oh, no. Like. No, it's 17,000.
How do those stores even
now?
survive?
Some of the stores they're 5 to 10, I would say, but that's only 2,000 square feet. Like that's nothing.
Yeah, that pickle store. How do they thrive?
Yeah,
I went in there because I love pickles, and they didn't even really have that many pickles. But I was like, that's
best pickles ever. Best pickles ever.
Are they?
Oh my gosh,
I didn't try them.
Yeah,
I actually ended up buying like they have a bunch of like old
little
and
antiques and different things in there. Yeah.
There was a bunch of Houston Oilers stuff, and my dad grew up outside of Houston, and so I bought those for him for Christmas. I was like, dude,
see, my dad went to Bel Air down in Houston. He graduated Bel Air High School.
Oh yeah,
and I asked my dad, I was like, oh, well, we were raised in South Texas. I said, well, why didn't we go back to Houston? He goes, the best thing I ever saw was Houston in my rearview mirror. And I said, that's what you love about Houston? He said, yep.
Oh my God, it's true though.
But no, I'm a huge Oilers fan. Man, Earl Campbell. I've got a signed jersey and shirts. And
my dad's like a fanatic. He grew up in Pasadena, and so like he, it was obsessed. And so when I went to that little store and I found those, I was like, "It's a great Christmas gift."
Absolutely.
Hopefully, he doesn't watch this. Spoiler alert. Well, I thank you so much for coming and talking to me. I had no idea I was going to get emotional. You just were such a big part of my life and literally one of the best humans I've ever met. And your grandparents were the best. Your parents are the best. Your siblings, like, I adore your brother. He and I, when you left, he and I got really close. We'd go to church. Like, he'd come pick me up and we'd go to church together. Like,
that was a little elbow from me. I made sure you were taken care of.
God.
I told you I don't cry.
Damn it, girl. Wow.
Even though I couldn't talk to you, and I would do, if I could do it over again, that's one thing I don't think I would have listened to. But like you said, we were raised in the South. We were raised to respect what our elders said and what people expected of us, especially in the church we grew up in.
God,
and
burn that place down.
Now I would be a table flipper. I tell people, everybody's like, what's one thing? And I said, I'm a table flipper. Like, we're not going to treat people this way. If anything, a church is supposed to be like an ER. When you're at your most broken and you have no place to go, that's where I should be able to go to find somebody to lean on, to pick me up, to carry me through. And that's the one thing that I will always do is I'm human. I make mistakes. But I will be as close to Jesus and act like him as I can. And if that means that you need a help up, I will reach through that water and I will drag you up kicking and screaming. And then you're going to lean on me. And then I'm going to let you go as you grow and are able to walk again.
God, what an amazing attitude you have after what you've been through, you know, and that's, you know, I'm still looking up to you. You know, I'm going through a lot right now with just some legal things and family, and I never want to become like angry and like mad at God for this happening to me. And the only thing I can think about why this is happening to me is so my story can hopefully help somebody else.
That's exactly why. And you have to embrace that. And when you can, know that people are always going to fail you. And it doesn't matter if it's blood. It does not matter. Sometimes those are the ones that fail us the most. I have found some family that I'm closer to than anybody I was ever related to. And I have found through healing out loud, it was because God knew I could handle this and burden this on my shoulders, that maybe I could turn around and be a roadmap for somebody to get through what they're going through.
No, and I can't even imagine how many people that you've helped by telling your story, even though it's not, I mean, who wants to rehash the most traumatic times of their lives, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, you're bringing purpose, right? And to your pain, you know, you're taking the pain out of it and you're helping others. And isn't that what it's all about? Aren't we here to help one another?
That's what we're supposed to be here for.
Yeah. Our church didn't raise us that way. Our church raised us to turn your backs on somebody who got, I guess, out of the lines.
Yeah.
Colored out of the lines. Well, thank you so much for coming today. I really hope to have you back on.
Absolutely.
Because this was fun. Yeah. Even as I sit here crying. But I love you and thank you so much. And we'll talk soon.
I love you.
I love you. Okay. Thanks, guys. God, girl. Oh my God. I did not expect to cry.